Welcome to the WWE podcast on this Friday, July 26th, 2024, as we are now 1 week away from SummerSlam and it's time to get into the mailbag and hear what you guys are thinking, what you guys want to say, what you want to ask me. And I don't think we have a ton this week, but let's dive in and see how many we got here. So we're going to start with Freeman, and he says, again, patrons get priority. If you didn't already become a patron, you're missing out. Can we take a moment to appreciate the Dom Live segment? When was the last time you saw a wrestler actually appear to be hurt from a promo, let alone cry? Every time I've seen a promo, both people refuse to back down and show weakness no matter what. I can't remember seeing anything where someone actually concedes and is insulted or upset by what is said. I know Liv didn't sell crying very well, but most actors agree crying is the hardest thing to pull off in a convincing way. This is all done 100% for the story, and I'm here for it. I now have a new match I want to see. J.D. McDonough versus Ilya Dragunov. After Dragunov's match, he's now probably in contention for best seller in the business, with the other hot contention being J.D. Put those two in a triple threat, and whoever else is in them will look like the strongest person on earth. I hope I get to see this, and they both continue to sell their hearts out. Well, I think that's a very plausible match. They're both in the same realm of, they're number one on the same show, which is a good thing. Number two, they are in the same weight class. Not that matters a ton by WWE standards, but it means that they like to put on those wrestling clinics, every week with a pairing of some sort. And that Dragunov and JD can go. And I agree. Yeah, that's a match that, can you not see this as awesome chance already? Hear them anyway. As far as the crying goes, yeah, I think it's something that is, undersold, underutilized, and sure, it's difficult to do, but it's done. When it is done effectively, boy, does it work. It works and works really well. Now, Liv, again, she didn't do a great job. I'm not going to get on her too much for that. She didn't do a fantastic job of selling it, but she did the best she could for never really having to cry on camera. And it's still working. I don't know ultimately what the payoff's going to be. My guess still is that Dom screws over Rhea at SummerSlam. Liv retains, and we have Rhea trying to get her hands on Dom and still trying to chase her championship. I think that's the best story to tell, rather than Rhea just conquering Liv at SummerSlam. I think there's a much better story to tell if it's Rhea still in chase mode, and now the guy that she trusted has completely turned his back on her, and people don't like him anyway, and Rhea is a babyface. You don't want her getting contaminated by Dom again, and you're on the babyface Rhea train. You got to do this. So Rhea's going to get duped by Dom again, and this time for real, he's going to be the one to make out with her. It's going to be making out with her after she beats Rhea, and with the help of Dom, as the music plays, she holds up her belt, and Dom, I think, makes out with her. And Rhea, all the announcers are trying to play up is, oh my God, what is Rhea going to do when she realized what just happened? That's my guess. Early prediction, guys. Thank you, Freeman. Okay, let's go to Dino. He says, let's see here. Dino. What do you got for me? First of all, buddy, got to trim down your emails. Please trim them down. All right, Dino. All rise. Just like you, Matty boy, I've decided I'm going to declare myself for the 2025 Royal Rumble, so here it is. Okay, I, Dino from Scotland, officially declare myself for the 2025 Royal Rumble match. Just like you, there's no rules. I'm going to come out, hide under the ring, and once you jump in it at the end to throw people out and think you've won, I'm going to come out under the ring and throw you over the top. Sorry in advance, bro, but it's me that's going to headline WrestleMania. Well, at least you're being honest. I appreciate it, and the fact that this actually could happen based on the rules that are in place, and I say rules very loosely when it comes to Royal Rumble, is hilarious, but also infuriating every year. How is there not a time limit that someone has to adhere to get into the ring, or you're disqualified from the match? What is the exact motivation to get in the ring if there's no requirement to get into the ring? We've seen people do this. And also people who are eliminated, being able to eliminate another person who's still legal. How does that work? Yeah, so there's just so many things that are screwed up about the Rumble, despite the fact that people love it, and I do too. But, all right. I have a suggestion for your podcast. It's a new game which should be called the WWE Podcast Predictor. It's once every 3 to 5 weeks. Basically, when anyone wants to take part, predicts who's going to win each match on the PLE. It would be $1 to play, and whoever gets the most predictions right wins the money. So, for example, 100 people play. That's $100 up for grabs for the winner, and there would also be a tiebreaker question, which everyone should be able to give the answer to with their match predictions in case 2 or more people tie on getting the most correct. For example, how long will the main event be to the exact second? And basically just the closest wins. Also, it's whoever walks away the winner that would count. For example, at Money in the Bank, Damian was the official winner regardless of what happened in the match. So it's a Damian Priest win that would count in the scenario of predicting Priest to win. I think I get it. This, I think, would add excitement and impetus to the match, sort of like DraftKings, except us outside the U.S. don't get to play that, and that's kind of where I got the idea from. That's not a bad idea. But it's all about getting the money up front, is it not? Which is always a task. You know, getting the money up front for anything is really difficult. Now, it's only $1, but still, you know, the idea would be, yeah, you can make your predictions, but if you don't pay up, you're not in. You know, you're not in the pool. That may not be a bad idea. Let me sit on that. In regards to the Discord server, what do you think about me becoming an admin? I can spruce up the server and add some new channels for specific topics or games. I have a wealth of experience and owned my own server at numerous times in the past, and I know my way around and how it all works. Let me know what you think. Yeah, it may not be a bad idea considering that I don't go in as much as I like, and you know, it probably would be good that someone goes in and is able to make changes as needed, or ban people that are trolling, which has only happened like once. But I think that's maybe a good idea. You come up with some good ideas. You're 2 for 2, Dino. I've heard you talk about how annoying the censoring can be during the shows. Over here during the live broadcast, there's no censoring whatsoever other than the proper bad words, i.e. the Fs, full-on BS word, for example. But things the crowds do, like having an offensive sign, like the Rocky Die sign and offensive stuff, the crowd may shout, is completely uncensored over here. To give a better example of what I mean, do you remember that segment when The Rock returned and you had all your screens constantly going black? Well, we experienced none of that whatsoever here. I'm pretty sure there was another segment that a lot of you guys were angry about when they kept muting the crowd every 2 seconds when The Rock was on the mic. Again, no censoring over here. I'm genuinely not bragging, I promise. I don't know why this is. I guess because I assume it's Raw and SmackDown. Because it's Raw, SmackDown, and PPVs are live from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. over here, so the terrible times we've always put up does have its benefits. Lastly, Solo was right. Roman is never coming back, and Solo will be the tribal chief forever. Yeah, talk to me in a week about that, Dino. I'm imagining you're not being serious about that, but if you are, I think I want to talk to you in about 7 days. No, I'm sorry. Today's Friday. 8 days, 8.5 days. I'll talk to you. Now, the censoring is annoying. It's annoying. I know why they do it. They have to. FCC rules, TV ratings, sponsors, network requirements. You can't be cussing and stuff, at least over here. Now, you're right. Over there, maybe it is because of your hours. Things are more loose on TV, even here after a certain hour. Perhaps that's what it is. But it becomes really annoying. And I understand. I'm not here to sit and say, oh, I'd love to hear the cussing. I'd love to hear the bad words and all. No, I don't really care. We all know what the bad words are. We've heard them a zillion times in our lives. It's nothing new or exciting or revolutionary. But it's just as an experience watching wrestling to constantly get the audio muted out. It messes with your head because you're like, oh, was something wrong with my connection? I got to reset. I got to this and that. It's just obnoxious. So that'll change in January when they go to Netflix. All right, Dino. Let's go to... Let's see. That's not a patron, although that's a very interesting email. Somebody that is, I'm sure, going to become a real patron of the show very soon. I'm being very facetious. So let's go to another patron. I'm going into Patreon directly. And let's go to Jeff. All right, Jeff. Jeff T. says, was watching old WWE and came across the Triple H, Kane, Katie Vick story. Talk about awkward and horrible storytelling. What was one of your worst storylines told? Well, that one is comically bad. It was weird when it started. It was weird as it went. It got weirder and more just cringy as it went on. It's teased a lot. I mean, even Kane's been involved in some weird stuff. Remember May 19th? Maybe you don't. For some reason, the date of May 19th set off Kane. This is about 10 years ago or so. Just like, for some reason. And no one ever explained it. It never got fulfilled. The general manager, here's one I really hated. The anonymous general manager. The one that would just be the computer that would like chime in, and there'd be like the texting jingle. Remember how annoying that was? I hated that. And it ended up being Hornswoggle, even though that was just a storyline that they hilariously wrapped up. But I don't know in the moment who they thought that was going to be and who they wanted it to be. So that was super annoying. But yeah, Katie Vick is just terrible. Terrible, but hilarious. I'm sure I could think of others too. But thanks, Jeff. Enjoy the storyline. Okay. Let's see here. So we're going to go to another patron. And of course, Mr. DJ Kuzmo, he says, as Shelton Benjamin is currently on the wrestling independent circuit, MVP recently called it quits with WWE and the ongoing speculation about Bobby Lashley's future in WWE. I still don't understand why, to this very day, that the Hurt Business abruptly ended after 2 years, and under the Triple H regime, there was no discussion of a Hurt Business reunion. It's one of those what could have been mysteries in WWE, especially a proposed storyline of the Hurt Business versus the OG Bloodline feud during Roman's lengthy championship reign that never saw the light of day. Now that MVP is no longer in WWE, what's going to happen next for Omos, who has appeared mostly on house shows? Omos is not a promo guy and needs a manager that could be his mouthpiece. For all the praise most fans give to Triple H about his new era of WWE, in my opinion, the Hurt Business is not reuniting is a big missed opportunity, because check this out. If MVP didn't call it quits with WWE and Shelton never got released, imagine a reunited new version of the Hurt Business of Bobby, MVP, Shelton, Cedric, the Street Profits, B-Fab, and the young upstart of Carmelo Hayes. That faction, with the amount of good storytelling a WWE creative could come up with, especially Carmelo, eventually feuding with Bobby, which in real life we haven't seen yet, could be close to the same level of storytelling that the Judgment Day is currently getting on Monday Night Raw. The Hurt Business is a group that is the definition of start-stop. It's the definition of it came up at a production meeting and then it got lost. Oh, we'll heat it up for a few weeks and then, we're going to forget about it for 2 months. And we got time for that? Oh crap, I forgot. We have hey guys, remember we have the Hurt Business? We got to do something with them this week. Oh wait, we need them to turn heel? Okay, let's do that and then flip them back babyface in 2 weeks. That's the way it felt. They were just kind of a group that they never prioritized for whatever reason, which is a shame. They never could really find their identity, and even when they started to, then they turned from heel to babyface. Remember when Bobby was with, they called themselves the Pride at that point, but they never really found themselves in a sustained capacity. They were just kind of hot-shotted here and there. A little bit of consistency would happen, and then they'd fall off the radar for several weeks, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? So fans couldn't get interested because there's no consistency. I'm totally with you, but that fantasy group you put together, that could be something. Especially helping the upstart of Carmelo Hayes, getting him an identity, which, by the way, Carmelo, as good as he is in the ring, he's got personality, he's got charisma, but we don't know what the hell he is. Are we supposed to love him, hate him? I think the WWE is just allowing the fans to decide that. I think they're purposefully leaving him a little bit ambiguous for the fans to decide whether or not they're going to love him or not. That's the way Carmelo's kind of coming off to me. He's been baby faces in some matches, but he comes across as an arrogant jerk in others. So then he's like, oh, well, maybe that's a heel. I think they're just allowing fans to decide. And that's what they're doing right now, because I don't know what he is, but I think in that group, that would have been awesome. Omos, the guy, we kind of knew what he was to begin with, right? We knew that Omos was a guy that is going to largely be built on his size. That's his one card to play. Now, he was really good for a guy his size. For what was expected of him in the ring, I think he overachieved. I really do. But he is very much reliant on his size. His promos never came through. MVP did help. But Omos has got one trick. One ace up his sleeve, and that's it. And he's playing that same card over and over. But yeah, look, Triple H's reign in this new era is not going to be flawless. He's going to have some massive missteps. He's going to have some blunders. He's going to have periods of just bad creative. I mean, that's inevitable. You can't make everything hot at the same time. You can't pay attention to everything at the same time. It's just not possible. Is this a missed opportunity? Yes, I think so too. But, this happens no matter who's at the helm. Vince, whether your name's Vince McMahon, whether your name's Eric Bischoff, Vince Russo, whoever's running creative, it doesn't matter. Triple H, Paul Levesque, doesn't matter. You're going to screw up. So let me quickly pivot to the Judgment Day by saying, don't let those crocodile tears from Liv fool you. I think at SummerSlam, she'll retain. Plus, keep an eye on Finn. He might be the X factor at SummerSlam and could potentially cost Priest by accident, quote unquote, to lose the title to Gunther. It looks like Creative is planning to split up the Judgment Day and with Finn and JD aligning with Liv. Remember, she did help them win the tag titles. Anyway, I'll end it here by saying, this is DJ Kuzmo signing off. Have a great weekend. See y'all in the Discord chat for Friday Night SmackDown. Yeah, so that I'm kind of in line with that too. I mean, the whole Gunther victory for his title, Gunther winning at SummerSlam it's not as easy though as I think the Liv Morgan retention, because anointing Gunther on a big PLE that they're essentially trying to make the WrestleMania of the summer. I mean, look what they're doing to SummerSlam in the next couple of years, making it a stadium show and then 2 nights in Minneapolis in 2026. They're trying to make it the WrestleMania of the summer, and good for them. Now that they are, and I not faulting them for that, but you have to understand that if they're going to anoint Gunther, SummerSlam is a hell of an opportunity to do it. But there's also a case to be made for Priest retaining. I think he's doing a good job as champion. Not great, not outstanding, but good and overachieving job as champion. He's still starting to really find himself as champion. He's coming into his own. The fans are behind him now as a babyface. He's kind of snuck under our noses as a babyface. All of a sudden, we're just cheering for him. We're like, whoa, how'd this happen, So they've done a nice job. There wasn't like a defining, that's an interesting term with Priest too. There wasn't like a single defining moment that we said, wow, big babyface turn. Sometimes turns, heel or face, are not done by a single moment. They're done through moments. They're done over a period of time. And sometimes you don't even know what's happening. And you're just like, whoa, wait, how am I suddenly cheering for him? And that's what I think we're at with Priest. So there's a case to be made for Priest to retain. There really is. I think Gunther is a slight favorite, but not by much. Because every time we think Priest is going to lose the belt, I mean, we are sorely mistaken. Take a look at the last 3 months. So, thanks, DJ, and we'll get to your Joe Hendry report. We're all looking forward to it and hearing that music. Hopefully you played it. We'll get to it. And who do we talk to next? Let's talk to, I don't think this person's a patron. I'm going to say no, but boy, this is going to be a fun one. This is Jason from Australia, a.k.a. Balls Massive. I'm not making that up. It says, hey, Matt, love the show. Want to dislike it sometimes, but I enjoy your rants. Well, that says, okay, we're starting out good. I'm not expecting everyone all the time to like what I have to say. In fact, I would guess that a lot of you sitting there are just so annoyed by the things I say sometimes, and that's just called opinion. You have an opinion that I'm sure if you vocalized, there'd be a lot of it I'd go, this is just terrible. But that's why it's an opinion, right? It means that's how I think. It doesn't mean that's actually reality. It's just how I view things, right? So, and I mean that speaking to everybody here, the whole podcast listening base. I will have a lot of stuff. I'm sure that a lot of you are going, oh, God, he's annoying. That's fine. Hey, wait, you think everything everyone says all the time, everyone's going to agree with? Hell no. But here's what I promise you we will always give you here is the truth. Whether you love it or hate it, it's our reality. Now, is it the truth? I mean, we think it is. But by the way, there's no such thing. And I know some people are thinking, oh, it's speak your truth. There's no more awful phrase in the world today. And that's saying something than I'm speaking my truth. Because there's no such thing. You don't get your own curated version of truth. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like everybody gets to walk around and have their own personal truth assigned to them. There is the truth, which is the objective world we all live in together. And there are certain things about that world that are just objectively true. Gravity, for one. We breathe oxygen. We are living biological beings. We're bipedal creatures. You know, but my point about bringing all this up, because I'm going way off. If anybody ever says to me, I'm speaking my truth, we will never be friends. Because I know there's so much I know about you if you use that phrase unironically. You say that seriously. I'm not saying you did, Jason. I'm not talking about you, just generally. I'm telling you, I got to start another podcast. I got to start another podcast that has nothing to do with wrestling. Because there's a lot on my mind about certain things. Anyway, moving on. So here we go, Jason. Though I disagree on your stance on the portrayal of women at the moment. Okay. Gone are the days when the women's matches were booked with spots that focused on TNA, and I don't mean the company TNA, Total Nonstop Action. We mean the letters T and A. We can all figure out what those are. And Lawler's egregious use of puppies. The women wrestle well and have great matches. Allow them to wear what they want, like Breaker walking in shirtless Monday. Liv's chosen to be sexualized, and it makes great content like Megan in the original Transformers. Thinking differently turns us into Saudi Arabia. Jason from Australia. Well, first of all, Saudi Arabia actually oppresses women. Like, not just imaginary oppression that exists here in the United States, that because you belong to a certain race or gender, you are automatically at birth oppressed, which is just a bunch of nonsense. It's just a bunch of people in the United States who want to be victims, because with victimhood comes power. That's all this is. But with Saudi Arabia, it's actual oppression. Like, actual oppression. The rules and laws that women have had to adhere to in Saudi Arabia are actually different than the ones that men have to adhere to, from dress code to being able to drive, own homes, businesses, what they can wear in sporting events. Why do you think the women in WWE have to wear essentially potato sacks when they wrestle? So we're talking about imaginary oppression versus actual. Okay. So Saudi Arabia, thinking differently also does not turn us into Saudi Arabia. Okay. What I'm advocating for is actually the complete opposite, because what I'm advocating for is women to go as far as they can to be viewed as actual wrestlers, to be viewed on the same level as the men. And what hurt them for so long, you touched on it, is that they were sexualized. The puppies, the bra and panties matches, the T and A, all that was focused fully. Wow, let's try that again. Focused solely, I did not just have a stroke, I promise, on the women's bodies. Because they knew they were placating to their core audience of teenage boys and young men. Pretty easy to sell to that audience, because we know what they're interested in. And it worked well. Now, a lot of those men have grown up. It doesn't interest them as much. And you want to bring in a new generation that doesn't look at the women as the puppies and, wow, look at how curvy this woman is or that woman is. So I'm not asking them to wear t-shirts and sweatpants at all. In fact, a little sexuality is fine in the context of what Liv is doing, because it's part of the story and part of the story that's working, instead of it just being a empty part of who somebody is. It's actually a part of a story that's working really well. And so that's what I'm advocating for. And the women have come a long way. But again, I think a lot of the problem is social media. And here comes a lot of something that I know some of you are going to talk about, misogyny and all this crap that is a bunch of whatever. Fine. Label me as misogynist. I just don't care, because it's not. In fact, it's me advocating for women here in wrestling. is the social media in general has been, I think, toxic for wrestling in a big way. It's not all, but in a big way, because it has allowed the female wrestlers to, of their own accord, voluntarily post pictures that have nothing to do with their wrestling acumen, with their wrestling character, with building their story that's happening on television. A very large portion of what's put on social media is, look at my body. Look at how good it looks. That's and show me the attention that I want. But then when you give me that attention, how dare you? So if you don't believe me, go look. Go look. It's out there. Not every woman, of course not. But we all know who they are. I've called them out by name here, and they can do what they want. I'm not sitting here going, I'm going to report you. Yeah, you do what you want. I'm giving you reality. You want to do that, you'll get the attention you want. You'll get the attention you're seeking. But you're not thinking long term that this attention is actually going to damage how the fans view you and what we're supposed to focus on. Because they tell us, focus on my body. But then if you focus on my body, you're sexualizing me. That's exactly what's happening. It's, don't you dare, I want you to notice, but don't you dare notice. Do you see what's happening? That's what's happening. And I'm not just talking about wrestling. I mean, you can apply this to a lot of other stuff that I will refrain from talking about here. We'll keep it to wrestling. But that's what I'm advocating for, because if the women want to do that more, hey, go for it. You want to post whatever you want. You want to wear whatever you want, and you're allowed to. But you can't cry and complain when then the consequences of those actions follow, and then cry wolf as if you didn't know that was going to be the case. If the clicks and the likes and the shares are all you're after, you'll get that. You'll get that. But you're going to get a whole lot more that you don't want, presumably. So that's really what it's after. So, sure. Sure. Hey, Jason, you want to disagree with me? That's seriously totally fine. I don't want everyone to agree with me. I don't want this to be an echo chamber. I like people challenging my views, and I'll do the same in return. I think civil discourse, civil discussion is a lost art today. I think it's a lot of screaming, labeling. Instead of discussion, people try to silence each other. People try to label each other. People stop talking to one another because somebody feels differently about a particular social issue. How many friends and family members, maybe personally, or friends of people that that have stopped talking to other people because of their particular views on a political issue or a social issue? It's happening a lot, and it's creating more division by not talking. But by not talking, then you're not able to work out and see each other's point of view. If you don't see each other's point of view, then you're going to live in an echo chamber where you think your view is the only right view. And if you don't understand the other person, then they become evil. They become inhuman. It's a way to dehumanize the other side. It really is. And I don't care what side of the issues you fall on. I know this is getting a little bit outside of wrestling. I'm trying to keep it in wrestling, but it's applicable here too, because it's bleeding into wrestling. It's bleeding into wrestling. And let me just tell you this one thing. The moment that the whole LGBTQ ideology gets put into wrestling is dead. Because everything in wrestling is, a lot of it structurally, the pillars of wrestling are built around men's and women's divisions. Okay. It will die the moment that it gets infused. And I can see a day where it's coming. There's already some of those people in independent wrestling. It's making its way into WWE. And I think once it does on the main roster, there's going to be massive backlash. And trust me when I say it will make its way there. It's a cancer that spreads, and it will consume everything until there's nothing left to consume. And then once it makes its way into wrestling, And all of a sudden you have, because think about this. Those of you that are advocating, oh, what a jerk. Really? Okay. Well, if you believe that anybody can become anybody, what if Brock Lesnar identifies as a woman and he wants to face, Zelina Vega? Say she's the champion. Well, according to you, they're on equal footing. Brock's a woman, so hey, what's the problem? Am I wrong? It instantly dies because it's an ideology that crumbles at the slightest bit of resistance. At the slightest. Nobody answers questions. I'm getting into stuff all right, let me stop. Anyway, Jason, thank you. All right. I bet you can't guess where I stand on issues, huh? Pretty big mystery. All right. Anyway, Jason, appreciate your email. I think that'll do it for the emails, and I think we might have a voicemail. Let's get to it right now.
Hello, WWE Podcast World. This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name. As I take it to my second episode of the Joe Hendry Report this past Saturday down in Montreal, Quebec, in Canada, TNA Slammiversary, as Joe Hendry was included in this six-way elimination match as the crowd was chanting, "We believe, we believe, we believe," in a match that went 30 minutes and 54 seconds. Unfortunately, Joe Hendry did not win the championship as he was eliminated by Josh Alexander, who seemingly turned heel by hitting the C4 strike. But before that, he kicked Joe Hendry in the groin. What's that all about? But Joe Hendry did have some bright spots throughout the match. He had a hilarious Samoa Joe spot, and then he pinned none other than Moose, the former champion, with the standing ovation pinfall to eliminate Moose from this six-way elimination match. So I'm looking at it as this is a great spot for Joe Hendry, even though he did not win the championship. But to see him in a main event like this, with all of these, the best of the best TNA pro wrestlers in this match, it was a great spot to see Joe Hendry. And there'll be a lot more bigger spots for him down the line. Maybe against John Cena at WrestleMania. Who knows? But now let's get to Tuesday. Last night on NXT, there was, in my opinion, one of the greatest infomercials that you'll ever see. A little backstory about Joe Hendry, about his 11 years, his trials and tribulations to get to where he is today. He said that this was not an overnight success. It took a lot of hard work, dedication, and most importantly, next week on NXT, for the first time ever, a live in-ring concert that Joe Hendry will be having on NXT. He's not The Rock, he's not Elias, he's Joe Hendry. With that being said, folks, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Remember to believe, say his name, buy his merch. That's right, he has merch. Buy his merch, and always do
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
DJ, you are going to be responsible for all of us never getting that song out of our heads. And boy, is it catchy. And that's the idea. Joe Hendry even said that himself. And that's the idea. It gets stuck in your head. He's got that look. I mean, I said that last week and continue to say it. He has all the tools. He's got the attention of the internet, and that's important. I mean, it sounds like it's not like, oh, he's got the internet's attention, but no, like the internet is who the people who are attending are. It's the same, one and the same. So I think that Joe Hendry is. I appreciate you keeping us up to date for those that aren't following him, not just in WWE but elsewhere. What he's doing and his continued rise. And I think that DJ, you have found a guy that you're going to be following for a long time if you so choose. A guy that's going to be coming up through the NXT, eventually I think making it to the main roster on Raw or SmackDown, and eventually, maybe a top champion in WWE. I think we're a ways away, but certainly you are now at the ground floor of it. You are at the very beginnings of it, my friend, and you can say that you have started from the beginning and that you kept us all up to date, because I think it's important. It's important and it's fun, and it's giving a guy that many of us didn't know, and very admittedly myself didn't know who the hell he was just a month ago. No clue. And now he's a guy that I can't get out of my head. I mean, it's quite amazing. Thank you, DJ. Very abbreviated mailbag tonight as we have a bit of a small week when it comes to submissions. And that's okay, because next week I feel like it's going to be a little bit bigger with SummerSlam right at the helm. And you guys will be, I'm sure, very active in the chat, in the Discord chat, which, by the way, if you're a patron, you can get access to, and at patreon.com/WWE podcast, because that is one of the benefits of going to the Patreon side of things. On top of everything ad-free, and I know that's probably the biggest benefit. You guys don't have to listen to these ads that you hear throughout the show. It's something that is, I'm sure, very much a streamlined and experience, and I'm sure you enjoy it. But speaking of, I want to give a shout out to our latest patrons, and that's, unless I already did, Clinton Smith and Megan F. Thank you, Megan and Clinton. Thank you so much to both of you. I hope you enjoy your benefits over at Patreon. So, alrighty. Well, thank you everybody for listening. I do appreciate it. If you guys want to give me a 5-star rating and review, and over at Apple Podcasts, I'd appreciate it. We have gotten some not so great feedback on Apple, which always makes me laugh. I mean, I don't mean that in a way that's like defensive and I'm using it as a defense mechanism. I honestly think it's funny because some of the people hate me so much, like viscerally. Maybe it's because of the issues I talk about. Just keep on, stick on to wrestling, and I do the best I can. But it's really difficult sometimes. Or they think, hey, for example, you guys want one? You want one? You want to hear one? Here comes a good one. Ready? This is from Arctic Numpty. All right. He says, and the title, very endearing, says truly awful. So we're starting out good here. And he says, assuming it's a guy, possibly the most ill-informed, whiniest, arrogant, pompous, and rudest podcast host I've ever heard. Not sure why he hosts a podcast on a product that he seems to dislike so much. The last straw for me was when he compared a female wrestler to an escort. Just because he can't watch a female wrestler without sexualizing them, he seems to think everyone treats women in this way. You're much better off listening to Wrestle Talk or coming in Raw. Far superior product. Well, first of all, I've got nothing against Coming in Raw or Going in Raw. You might want to get the show name right there, Arctic. Or Wrestle Talk. Both. No, good shows. Good shows. But hey, first of all, I think I explained my situation with the women very clearly earlier. If it's above your reading level, then I apologize. I mean, the fact that you had really no substance here other than that you didn't like and made your tummy hurt that I compared a female wrestler to an escort, I think you misheard me, okay? And I think you're referring to the Monday Night Raw review. Here's what I don't want. I don't want women, if you listen with your ears, women to be compared to escorts. But when you dress like one, I call it out. I mean, and I'm not apologizing for that. I'll triple down on that. I don't want women to be looked at that way. And you're thinking, I think everyone looks at them this way. First of all, I didn't say everybody, but the core male audience, if you're a straight man and you look at women who are dressed scantily clad, you're biologically wired to get your attention in a very superficial way. And if you think anything else, and if you wish it was something else, well, that's too bad. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. And also, I love wrestling. And if you think I don't like it so much, maybe you haven't been listening. Most of my shows have been actually pretty positive lately. Not that I'm going to critique them myself to make sure it placates to your needs. If you want a podcast that is just roses and praiseworthy of every show all the time, you're at the wrong place, pal. You're not going to find it here. And as far as arrogant and pompous and rude, okay, rude, I don't give a damn if you interpret me as rude, but arrogant and pompous, first of all, synonyms here. If anything, I am admittedly a very much self-critiquing and kind of self-destructive podcast host, meaning like I'm very aware of the things I don't do well. I stumble over words a lot. I really don't have a disability, I promise, although some of you probably think I do, some kind of mental one. Maybe I do. I'm sure we all do. I admittedly don't watch NXT. I'm a main product guy only. What are some of the other negatives? Some of my shows are really short, so I repeat myself a lot. What else? I mean, it's like, so this self-deprecating humor, if you will, pretty weird if I'm also arrogant. But ill-informed is also funny. See, these are the kinds of people that I'd love to have them come on the show and just talk about wrestling, right? Come on in. If you really hate me so much, instead of labeling me all these things like a coward, come on the show. You just write these anonymous reviews. But, I mean, I'm not begging anyone to give me a 5-star rating. I appreciate the criticism. I really do. But these are the kinds of people that will never actually have a discussion with you. They just from afar shout things like cowards. Anyway, there you go. So, Arctic Numpty, I think based on the name that you gave yourself, kind of lets me know about your, room temperature IQ. But anyway, we're going to move on. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you listening. A bit of a weird show here. Short, but weird show. I will be talking to you guys on Sunday for the weekend review if you're still with me, and I haven't lost about 1,800 listeners. Talk to you next time. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.